Men, and I use the term loosely. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video called Bad Enough Number 5. And, well, I'll show you the video right now. I'll just include it in here so you can see it again. Customer just dropped this engine off today. And, yeah. Is that bad enough for you? I'm thinking that's pretty bad. In that video, I was removing a primary from an engine I'm rebuilding for a guy. And when I pulled the drive sprocket off, the timken bearing fell out in all of these pieces over here. I should know one thing. This nut was very difficult to remove. Not the hardest one I ever had to remove, but it was hard. I had to heat it up and use the big cheater bar on it, but it came off. Since then, I've taken the rest of the engine apart, and I've never seen one of these bearings fail like this. I mean, this is bad. This is total destruction. There's shrapnel and busted cages and a busted race and busted rollers. And I got to wondering, how could this have happened? And I've come to a conclusion. And the conclusion is this. I believe when this was assembled, somebody used either a big wrench, maybe a 3/4 inch drive impact wrench on this nut. And when they jammed the nut on, it was way too tight. And what happens is when you tighten that nut, it pushes the sprocket in this direction. Well, the sprocket hits the shoulder, what's left of the shoulder is right here, on the bearing race, which pushes on the spacer between the two inner races, which pushes on the race for the inner bearing, which pushes up against this flange on the sprocket shaft. Here's the flange. It's broken off. So I think they just tightened it too damn tight, and it sheared the flange right off of the sprocket shaft. Well, once this is gone, you've got no, you've got too much end play in the whole bearing setup. So this thing was free to break around. But you know, in and of itself, I don't think that caused the failure. I think that when the nut was tightened up, they tightened up the sprocket, they pushed into the inner race, I think they fractured this race, I think is what happened. And then of course it just disintegrated. The motor was not quite locked up. It was very stiff to turn. Well, sometimes it was locked up. If you try to spin it, it would lock up, and if you kind of wiggled it and jiggled it, you can make it turn. So yeah, it was pretty screwed up. But I think the ultimate cause of this failure was the big nut being tightened too tight. And you can see the inner race broken out, rollers fell out, race is distorted. I mean, this thing is a mess overall. Pieces of the inner race. Here's the inner spacer between the two races. It was broken. The outside spacer snap ring between the two bearing races, that survived intact. But anyway, a word of caution. Don't tighten your sprocket nut too tight, or you run the risk of fracturing the races and leading to a total failure. Word of caution. I've seen this before, and I've seen this broken off before, but I've never seen the bearings totally destroyed like that. And I have stated in previous videos, when the nut is tightened on the end of the crank pin, there's supposed to be clearance between here and the flywheel. Otherwise, the taper is not seating fully in the flywheel. So that little bit of extra space here gives room for the flange to break off and kind of wallow around in here a little bit. So yeah, not a good thing. Somewhat surprisingly, the rest of the bottom of the engine was in pretty good shape. Obviously, it got a new sprocket shaft, it got a new crank pin. There was some shrapnel damage on the connecting rod rollers, on the cages there. I guess pieces of this wandering around inside the engine here got up into the rod races and nurbled them up a little bit. But yeah, bottom line, don't tighten this beyond excess. Whatever the book says the value is, and I think it's 150 foot-pounds. Do not exceed the book recommended torque value for this nut. Do not use your 3/4 inch impact driver turned up all the way on high. And with that, I am out of here. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye. Ready for resale. Just a quick reminder, you can help support and grow this channel, first of all and most importantly, by hitting that subscribe button. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to do a little more, join me on Patreon. Links down below. So go ahead and join me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And, as always, coffee cups and stickers are available. I got a new design coffee cup. I like the old ones, but I like these new ones better. So coffee cups and stickers, links also down below. And with that, I am out of here. Hey, thank you all ever so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.